Green flag, green flag. You got the black flag. You jumped the start. You have to drive through the pit without stopping. There's an incident behind. Right side.
So the actual first race didn't go well. Jumped the start and then been rammed unceremoniously into the barrier by the blue car. Meant that I'd basically finished last, had damage and just limped around to the end. So this really is the first race. So welcome to qualifying for race 1.5 and to the first video on my channel. I've been racing on GT7 for quite a while. I race exclusively in VR. I've tried flat screens, but for me it is all about the immersion that you get in VR. Now the reason I'm here trying out iRacing is, to put it simply, it's the poor online multiplayer experience in GT7. I mean, yeah, there are always loads of people to play with online, and in fact I'm a part of a few very good online leagues in GT7, and hopefully I'll feature some of those races in future videos or live streams. But the problem for me is the poor penalty system in GT7. It's just too easily exploited, and the default for some people on there is to use a barrier on the outside to help them make the corner. Sure, there are some very clean, respectful races, and I've had some great races with some people online, but there are just far too many people who have no patience and they're just happy to bump you out of the way. Now, this might sound salty, but for me, I get enjoyment out of clean, fair racing. Yes, I love to win, but I'd much rather have a good, clean battle and come off second than to play dirty to win. I've heard great things about how iRacing applies its penalty system and how in general it is cleaner and more respectful, so that's what we are here to see. First race start, however, doesn't bode well. But the goal of the rookies here is just to stay clean, avoid contact with others and get my D rating for road so that I can take part in some more interesting series in the future. So first impressions of iRacing compared to GT7 is that the cars feel a lot looser. Now I know that iRacing is a proper sim and GT7 is in reality a bit of a simcade, but even in these lower powered Mazdas it's quite apparent. There's no way you'd be getting so much sliding on GT7 in a car of this class. Also the tyre model is much more noticeable in terms of how they warm up. Lap 1 is out lap on qualifying here. You have to be very careful. Reduced level of grip until they get to working temperature is quite dramatic. Second or third lap onwards, though, you can start to lean on them much more. Although even in this little Mazda you get the feeling of it dancing around at the limit pretty much all the time. Another thing that's much more noticeable in iRacing is weight transfer. You can really feel it under braking, and it is so much easier to lose the rear end of the car under braking even at lower speeds than GT7. Just about to start the second qualifying lap. In this series you basically get 2 hot laps for quali, so you get an out lap and then 2 laps. You get 8 minutes to complete them all in, and you can carry on after that to get some extra practice if you want, but those 2 laps are the ones that count. First lap we just did then, bit of a banker lap just to get something on the board. Currently sat in 3rd provisionally. This next lap we'll try and push on a bit harder now. Tyres are all warmed up and we've got one on the bank as well, so we can take a few more risks. Here at Rudskogen Motor Centre, this corner I think it is maybe 3 and 4. It's very tricky, but now the tyres are warmed up we're starting to get some confidence through here and carry a fair bit of speed through this next part as well. I can always feel the back end go light and want to over-rotate here under the brakes. As the camber drops away you can really feel how the change in elevation or camber affect this in iRacing, much more than in GT7 I feel. 137.38, it's a nice improvement on the last lap and puts us in 2nd provisionally. And here we go, 2nd was where we ended up. And here is me completely forgetting that cold tyres are a thing into corner 1. And all that good work in qualifying in an instant is ruined. So goal now is just to stay clean for the race, not pick up any more penalty points. Take it nice and easy through here on the first lap, and there's all kinds of carnage going on here. We pick up 2 positions straight off the bat. Similar level of carnage at the next corner, and the yellow car in front of us is slow out of this corner, so we pick a nice clean pass on the inside, and it's 4 positions gained in 3 corners. Under quite a bit of pressure from the number 1 car behind us down the straight, make a bit of a mistake here, unfortunately get an off-track penalty, so we have to give some time up and lose this position, unfortunately. Everything just kind of settles down a bit, start getting into a good rhythm, tyres are nice and warm, just trying to keep clean, avoid any off tracks and maintain our position at the time being. No one really too close to us in front or behind, so just focusing on keeping it clean at this point. So another reason for the jump to PC sim racing is, sadly, it seems to be a lack of game developers supporting PSVR 2 on PS5. There's been no VR support in the WRC games, none for the F1 series either, despite both those titles having PC VR support. And the recent announcement by Sony that PSVR 2 will be getting PC support felt very much like the time had come to give up on waiting and hoping for more VR racing titles on PS5 and kind of bite the bullet and commit to a PC. Fortunately, I had an Oculus Quest sitting gathering dust, so that's what you're watching here. In case you're interested, my PC is running an AMD 7800 X3D processor, an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 Super and 32GB of DDR5 RAM. I'm using it on OpenXR to run this, and I think it looks pretty good for what is now a fairly old game. I mean, sure, it's not as polished as GT7. Those OLED screens on the PSVR 2 really do pop colours well, and there are some occasions where the lighting is just breathtaking. But the Oculus Quest is doing, I think, a very respectable job here on iRacing. Of course, there is no eye tracking like PSVR 2, and as a result it renders the entire screen, which, I guess is why the more powerful graphics cards are needed to run PC VR. Rather than just the bits you're looking at on PSVR 2 with the eye tracking. But overall, it's a very playable experience, and in fact I think it feels clearer than GT7 on PSVR 2. I mean, it's purely my opinion, but just because you don't get that peripheral vision blur from the eye tracking and foveated rendering and whatnot on PSVR 2, it somehow adds to the immersion and improves it. PSVR 2 has a 110 degree field of view, whereas I think this is 100, so it is a bit noticeable if you switch between them regularly, but it just doesn't detract from the overall quality in my opinion. I think it's August the 8th that the PSVR 2 adapter is released for PC, so I will be getting that straight away and likely do a review or comparison video on that with iRacing and ACC to see how it compares against the Quest 2 and how the PC runs those delightful OLED screens in PSVR 2. So the number 11 car has obviously made a mistake that's allowed us to catch up, so we're now in a little bit more of a battle with a couple of cars behind us and a car ahead of us. Here we jump forward to the final lap, and as you can see, nothing has changed. Still chasing the same car, but most importantly, haven't picked up any penalties, so our safety rating score will be good for this race if we can keep it together for this last final lap. So overall, my first real experience of iRacing has been a positive one. The cars are challenging to drive, but in a good way, and the fellow competitors were very clean, and any issues I had were entirely of my own making. And that's it, P6 for the first proper race. Again, if you've stuck with us through this whole video and enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe. If you have any comments or tips for me, please do leave a comment. See you next time.